Maybe. Here we
Wow.
go. All right, I think we're live now. Awesome.
Fantastic.
Yeah, welcome again. We're doing another video in our series. I think it's going to be a 5-video series breaking down what makes armies good. I didn't know it was going to be that until halfway through the first video. And you hopped on and we were talking and it's like, well, why don't we just go ahead and break down the armies by battle tactics, grand strats, allegiance abilities, and war scroll stable.
Sure.
All kind of like in a vacuum, and then at the end, we'll put it all together and make like a final tier list combining everything. I did start breaking down these bits into tier lists, so you should be able to look over that here at the end. We might pop over to battle tactics at the end if anyone's curious to see what the tier list ended up looking like. It was a nice, generally pretty good distribution. I also added Cities of Sigmar since the book is leaked since our last stream. So
Fair. Yeah, I mean, I personally would be interested in seeing it. I was hoping for it at the end of the last one. Have you found some good feedback on this stuff so far, or at least some use in like practicing for Flying Monkey Con?
I have got a lot of use out of the battle tactic one personally. Just going through all the battle tactics really helped out. I'm gonna shout out Darktron in the chat. Hey Darktron. Yeah. Oh, the other thing, before we get too far, this is a rare moment on the stream. I'm going to say like and subscribe before the end. Yeah. I know, big. I've also added the Discord that we just recently stood up down into the comments, not the comments, the video description. So if you're interested in hopping in and chatting and seeing the beers that we're drinking, feel free to check that out. There's a Spicy Brews tab where I've linked the Untapped page for the beer that I'm drinking, which is Latte on My Mind by Avery. So
it's a good one. It's a good one.
It is. I'm running low, so I'm gonna have to make another trip to the store and pick up a bunch of spicy new brews, particularly for Sunday when we're doing a report for the new cities using the old bottles. So dwarves and elves. We'll get you on for in full plate mail once the full range is released. It's gonna be amazing. Can't wait.
Sure.
Can't wait.
I was actually just downstairs doing a little armoring before this. I had like a second, and I was like, let me just cut out a pattern real quick. It'll be fun.
Yeah. But anyway,
going back on the battle tactics, I did the same thing. So I went and did a bunch of test games one weekend, pulled up whatever my opponent was, made my list of this is what it says he should be able to do, and it was completely accurate all 3 games. I mean, every game only went to turn 2 or turn 3 because I play a hyper-aggressive army. So
right.
Someone's losing in 2 or 3 turns. But those green ones were always the ones that they chose. Like,
they're just
pretty true.
Yeah, they're just the easy ones to get. The yellow ones are perfectly achievable. It's not like if you were in, like Stormcast, where I listed them as mostly yellow. It doesn't mean they can't complete battle tactics. Plenty of Stormcast players are doing really well. It's just that you got to work for it. You got to work a little bit harder than somebody that is like Cities. By the way, came in at like 7 greens. They're gonna be having an easy life once they get released, even after points increases. Just having easy battle tactics just like is starting the game with 10 points, which is
fair enough.
Yeah, which kind of rolls us into grand strats. It's not something you hear people talk about a lot. It's not like during the game you're having to pick grand strats all the time like you do battle tactics, and so battle tactics get a lot of the screen time for chit chat. But ultimately, if you want to boil down how important a grand strat is, it's like a 6th turn where you score all the primaries. It's just 3 points. Hold 1, hold 2, hold more. It's 3 points. Grand strat, 3 points. So if you have a free battle tactic, spoiler Zinch, I'm sure that everyone who's played Zinch knows that they all just take the 1, including me, that you just get for free unless you live a risky life. They start the game 3 points ahead, and you have to catch up by getting your grand strat or tabling them, which is hard. They're a good army.
Well, and especially in tournament types like Mile High was or Lone Star, where you get points for denying your opponent a grand strat. If they know it's a guaranteed, they make that space that much bigger in those type of tournaments. Was it 2 points for denying a grand strat or something like that?
Yeah.
So you get like a lead of 5 or something.
Yeah. It's bigger than it feels like, since you make the choice once when you build the list, and then you're just kind of there. It doesn't feel like as big a choice as I think it ends up being sometimes. But we'll switch over to the ratings real quick, just as a little reminder to everybody. They're going to be different video to video as far as like what they mean, but ultimately what you're looking at is the green. The green is just easy, like you get it without trying, or you get it with very little effort. The other thing that I had to put in here so that everything didn't come out kind of yellow was the win more. So that would be something like Overshadow, which we'll talk about, where you kill all of their battle line and you have any of your original battle line on the table, and that's a win more. If you beat them and you table them, you get it. So it's the thing that you see people take the most. Then there's the difficult, but to complete, it's achievable, but you got to do setup. You got to work for it a little bit. Something that might be easy to complete for one army might be difficult or very hard for another. So we're not just like looking at these and saying this is what it is for everybody. We'll flip through all the armies and kind of talk about those. And then there's the autocomplete tier. I think there's only a couple armies that ended up in the autocomplete. We already talked about one. Yeah, Tzeentch. We'll talk about the other one pretty quickly. And then very hard is just like contrary to playstyle, where like Overshadow is very hard for an army that doesn't want to beat you by tabling you. An army that is like Beast of Chaos, which is all over the place. They've got one or two big hammers that come in out of nowhere, delete really important stuff, but they're not necessarily just face rolling you and leaving you with nothing on the board. That's my take when I was putting these together. So, any questions before we move on? Looks like Darktron's jamming to Diablo 4 and can't wait to add the Pontifex to a Seraphon army, which I think is a spicy take. I don't know if I do it, but if I want to hear how it turns out in the Discord once he gets to play some games. All right, so let's see. So comparing seasons, that's what it was. This season, I think, based on the metrics that I put out, actually ends up a little bit easier on Grand Strats because you have two based on how your army likes to play. Overshadow, win more. I already talked about it. You just smash and win. And then Spellcasting Savant, which I was originally down on. It's like, I have to have some flimsy little wizard and he's got to live. Well, I see people taking that a lot and people doing well with it. So I changed my tune, particularly once I started playing Seraphon, where I've got really strong locuses. I'd probably there's other armies where that might be good. What have you been playing on Flesh Eater Courts?
Oh, I've been doing Overshadow basically every time. I did one of the Spellcasting Savant. But it was iffy on a death army because I feel like you're encouraged to be pretty greedy on magic with death. Like you want your spells,
right?
And a 6 wound guy can just straight up kill himself with a wild miscast. So it was a little iffy, and I swapped over to Overshadow because again, Glass Cannon army. Like I'm gonna kill their stuff or I'm not, and that's kind of it.
Right. And so for any new players that happen to be tuning in, why did I put red X's next to all these things that have red X's to them? Because that is, overwhelmingly the most common color is red X. And that's stuff that wants you to have like units scattered to the four corners of the board. That's a really common one both in books and it seems like occasionally in the GHBs. Something that wants you to like have a couple of wizard units, which are usually flimsy heroes in the middle of the board and then nobody else is nearby, or something like that. I think that Control the Nexus is just ending the game with 2 wizards wholly within 6 in the middle. That's not where I want my wizards. You could see that as a win more, but usually my wizards are kind of skirting on the outsides of the battlefield, right? And then if I have to like do a suicide dive into the middle, if I have to take the top of 5, then that gives them a turn to deny my grand strat. So there's just a lot of easy counterplay for them, for the opponent. Sure. Magic Made Manifest, endless spells are easier to get off the board than ever. Same thing. Even if I go at the bottom of 5, they can just hold on to their primal dice from the previous turn, knowing that, oh, I just need to stop one or two of these endless spells, and then I'm up 3 points. So when there's like really easy counterplay like that, they get the red X. But Slaughter of Sorcery, the reason that one's yellow, for example, is because there's a lot of cases where they just got like one wizard, and it's not too difficult, in my opinion. Maybe you have a different take on it, to pick off those incidental wizards. It gets difficult when you're playing into Tzeentch, where that is another word for table me.
You also do have the chance of just winning that if you like corn into corn, or
It's true.
Fire Slayers into whatever.
It's true.
It's not an awful choice, especially if you're playing one of the armies that doesn't take wizards.
It's true. I played it into a really tough Tzeentch list with Khorne, and I regretted it. I really wish I had taken something else. But as we'll see, I think Khorne is one of the armies that struggles on having really super reliable grand strats. Like, there's no spellcasting savant. That's not ultimate super reliable, but it's I think it's better than it could be.
Sure.
Anyway, going on, Cities of Sigmar. This is the top. They have just a couple. It's going to be the theme here. There's a couple for just about everybody, with some outliers on the top and bottom. Overshadow, the whole army wants to be battle line, all the good stuff. So you for every Iron Helm, Steel Helm, the innocent men that you take, you get another unit. You get a battle line unit of the blasters, the Fusiliers, and you're just going to be taking a bunch of those guys. And so why not make them battle line so that Overshadow is easier for you, so you can lose those cheap screens and then be fine. Be fine on your 3 points.
Sure.
Other than that, the banners held high. That felt like a pretty good one, because you're going to be taking a lot of units that have banners in them, including the D&D party, which I can't remember their name. It's that little group of command guys, the command corps, I think maybe. They just like somebody's D&D party. Like, I've got the knight guy, who's the most angsty person ever, and the healer and all that stuff, and then the priest.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, the D&D party, adds to that, and they're good for battle tactics, so you already want to take them.
Sure.
Banners held high felt good, because not everybody is going to be maximizing the number of banners they're taking, and you're going to be blasting that stuff off the table anyway. Felt like a win more.
So a couple of these I want to chat with you on why they're not yellow, like why you went red. Like Reclaim for Sigmar.
Okay. When the battle ends, complete this grand strat if there is at least one friendly Cities of Sigmar unit wholly within each large quarter of the board. You're in my opinion, and I'm happy to change it, is that you're a castle army. You're a pretty fast castle army, because the order that allows you to move and 3 inches and also remain fortified while you do it. But your main shooting brick that people I think are going to be taking isn't going to be like walking around and being wholly within different quarters of the board. Sure. You might say that, oh, you're going to have fast units in the rider guys, the horses, but I think you're going to trade those away. Like, they're great trading pieces. You send them out, you lift something important, you hold them up for a little while you blast them, and then those units die, which means that they're not going to be available for being in a large quarter. I mean, it's possible it could be a win more, but I guess I don't know how many units Cities is going to end up with. This is definitely a finger in the wind.
Sure.
What do you think? Like, do you think it should be a yellow?
I think that they have enough high movement options in there, and we don't know what the meta is going to shake out as. I heard people talking about the potential for the Cold One Riders, the old Dark Elf models.
Yeah.
And there's a build with that. If your magic is running with either Thankful Surfboard or you're running the bridge, you have the ability to chunk that big shooty unit from one chunk of the board to another, and now all of your support stuff can hold you back too. Do the hounds, hound handlers, do they deep strike?
I don't think they deep strike. I think they just can't be shot. I mean,
even if you run them up the side of the board and they're hiding in terrain, then you got to go get them. Like, I think maybe you have to actively play for it. It's definitely not just a win more kind of a thing. But I think Reclaim for Sigmar isn't that impossible to do, so long as you are being smart with your units and you're not overcommitting and just losing stuff in rounds 1 and 2.
Right. That's fair.
The other one that I was wondering on, and maybe this is a asterisk sort of a thing.
Yeah.
Slaughter of Sorcery. If you're running Pontifex and Rune Priests, so you don't have wizards, and you're just trying to snipe out every wizard they have,
yeah,
then maybe that's a great one for you.
That's true. I forgot. I wasn't thinking about the Pontifex. I'm just waiting for that model to be completely changed or something, or the points to get skyrocketed. Just because it's so good. Do you think that should be a yellow or a green? Is it a win more?
I don't think it's a win more, because I think you have to build towards it, and you're sacrificing some stuff, right? Like that Metalsmith wizard is cool. Their little foot wizard guys are cool. You're a Luminarch. You like saying that you're not going to have that by the end of the game. I don't think it's a green. I think that it's a yellow, and maybe like yellow with an asterisk, because you definitely got to be working towards this.
That's fair. And maybe that's what I was thinking about, was that you're going to be taking like 2 of those caster guys for their outrageous buffs. Maybe once they're no longer 90 points and they get turned into 180 points, like they're probably worth, then that becomes more realistic. But the fact that they have an AoE spell that makes all of your shooters do mortals on 6s to hit, it's just, I don't know how you don't take it until they change it. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So I think Joey might be right. Fringe yellow, like you were saying.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. So that's cities. They're going to be in a good spot on Grand Strats. They've got 2 good options, and then they've got a variety of fringe options to go with. If you're feeling spicy, it allows for build variety, because that's really what 2 green, like multiple greens, easier Grand Strats, allows for more interesting build choices. Even if they're not always the most optimal, you can get your points and have your fun too.
For sure.
Yeah, Joey. Everything in cities is a little bit crazy. We'll see what happens. They might do a slave style release where they fix up, they do a lot of changes right before they release the book. Daughters of Khaine, one of the few star armies. I think Bloodthirsty Zealots is free money as long as you're playing you're used to playing the army. You know how to play it. You will fight with everything, or it will die by the end of the battle. If somebody is actively running away from you, I think that you're just chasing them off the points, and then they're giving up primary scoring, which might be a losing proposition. If you're thinking, I'm going to stop Bloodthirsty Zealots, they either have to make a huge play mistake, or you have to be making suboptimal choices on your primary scoring. That's my... What do you think?
So, Control the Nexus. Are both Morathi chunks wizards?
No. Just the little one.
Okay. Fair enough.
And I don't actually remember the last time I saw Morathi make it to the end of a game.
I suppose. She is kind of the big target.
You have to start, whittling her down, which is why I didn't, mark any of those as that. Certainly you'll probably, have at least her gone for Slaughter of Sorcery, but I think that you've got other casters available to you, like most people are taking the Medusa, and you're not trying to get the Medusa killed.
Sure.
At least that's my hot take. Usually when there's a good wizard, I just have been Xing out Slaughter. Do you think that should be a yellow?
For which one?
Slaughter or Control the Nexus.
If Big Morathi's not one, no, Control the Nexus is still tough on them for sure, because they don't want to be in this. Most of the lists that I see, at least, don't want to be in the center of the battlefield. They want a big unit of bows sit in the back of the battlefield, and Morathi running straight down the battlefield, but not the middle.
Right.
Slaughter. Do they have the ability to hurt themselves with their sorceresses, or is it just other units?
Hurt them.
You turn 5, kill yourself.
That's cities.
And be done. That's cities. Okay.
I kept that. That's the Dark Elf Sorceress. She can sacrifice herself to get a casting bonus.
Sure.
Must be nice to have access to that. So maybe there's another reason why Slaughter is good, because you're probably going to be taking one of those for the ability to make an elf unit just ignore save rolls.
Sure. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. No, otherwise, I think this looks
reasonable.
pretty solid.
Sweet.
For sure, yeah.
Yeah, daughters, as far as their grand strats, are in a good spot.
Sure.
Fire Slayers. I was way back and forth in my own heart on Masters of the Forge because you hear people talk about it as though it's like it's free money. But I think that as the number of priests in the game increase, like Pontifex Sinestra, Khorne becoming very popular in the meta right now, there's a lot of priests out there that can zap away your forge thing at the very end. And I've also seen more than one Fire Slayer player accidentally lose it on the 5th turn because they're so used to activating it that they'll like shoot with it or move the Infernoth up, and then they roll their doubles, and then it goes away, and then they lose their grand strat. I think that's happened to me at least twice.
Yeah, but there's a little bit of greed there.
It's true. It's true. Can enemy priests remove invocations? Yes, they can. Which is, if people don't run a lot of priests, or they haven't traditionally, but as the number of priests increases, I think that you see that more and more common. It used to be free money. I think maybe most of last GHB and the one before, like, they just took it and then they got it. Like, it was kind of a Zinch thing. But I think now it's not. I don't think it should be. But I'm always open to being talked out of, like, something high or low. Do you think it should be a star, or do you think it's good being just a green?
If things change and we see more priests, then I think no star. But for most people that I play in tournaments, if they run Fire Slayers, that's a star. Like, you choose to fail that grand strategy. Like, that 100%, especially if you start out by the pizza oven and you've got 5 turns to roll a 2+.
Right.
Like, it's totally on you to get greedy and roll those doubles.
Even though yeah. All right, we'll add it in. Get a star there. I'll update the final rankings, not tonight, but after the presentation. So when we see these, there won't be Fire Slayers in the star zone, but we'll add them there later. Sure. I did think that they had a couple of good ones, decent ones at least, in their battle tome. In addition to the Masters of the Forge, like, sure, why wouldn't you take it? It's so good, but in the world where something changes, and they don't want to do Overshadow because they're spamming Battle Line, Guarded Lineage and Defend the Lodge, I think, are both reasonable. Like,
I feel like Defend the Lodge is actually a tougher one for them. I don't know if I'd put it all the way to red, but their movement is so bad. I beat a guy just putting 10 ghouls in the far corner, and they had to choose, is that unit dedicated to killing 80 points of ghouls for the entire game, or do I just let it go?
It's true. I mean, that's why it's a yellow, right? Because it's not free money. Sure. Their slow speed is why I put it yellow, rather than red, because they're taking a long time to get out of their deployment. You're coming into them, and so I think that it has to be wholly within your territory. It's not just within. So in your case, in Flesh Eater Courts, sure. Like, sorry, there goes 3 points. But against a lot of armies that just want to charge their front or come in on the sides, they're not necessarily, by the end of the game, going to have stuff wholly within. And it would be a win more style scenario. Like,
the thing with how the wording is, if one model is alive from any of the units that charged you,
at the end of the game. At the end of the game.
At the end of the game, yeah.
Which is why I made it yellow. I think it's doable, but I don't think it's guaranteed, and it's on the Fire Slayer player to try and make sure that they're finishing up units rather than not, I guess. Not that I feel like they have a lot of choices in their in their matchup, like their trades. They're just like, come at me, bro. But, yeah. I feel like it's a yellow, having played as Fire Slayers a few times. Even though you did like 80,000 mortal wounds to Gotrek and I lost the game. I think there's play there. And then I made Slaughter of Sorcery yellow just because they have no wizards, and so there's very little opportunity cost for them.
I think that's fair too. for sure. But I unless we see a ton of priests show up, I don't see any reason to not take Masters of the Forge.
Oh, I agree. I think it's the one they always take.
Yeah.
Like, regardless of how many priests start showing up, because it's just there's no primal incantations. They can't hoard points, and there's no counter incantation stuff. So as long as they have a priest at the bottom of 5 and they're taking it, it's very nearly guaranteed because they're like 3-upping. I don't know. It's 66%, but the chance of it not being out there very low. Like you said, it's good. All right,
for sure.
Lots of armies. We're gonna keep it going. I was surprised to find. I thought Idoneth Deepkin had 3 good ones. Overshadow, just because it just seems to be the one everyone can do. It's just like the generic one more. A lot of their stuff is going to be battle line for the armies you're taking it in. Like if you're spamming eels, you're going to be making them battle line. Maybe that one list that took like 9 sharks. Okay, Overshadow might not be perfect. They don't have a lot of battle line. But almost everything else is going to be battle line. If you make the turtle battle line, you bring a bunch of Namarti that just shoot and hang back and protect your boat. The Achillean Pursuit, I thought that was a good one, particularly for those lists that skew into the Achillean units like the sharks or the eels. Or the Creeping Gloomtide is the one I see people take the most, where you just have to not have any enemy units within 3 of your shipwreck, and it can be demolished. They can do the monstrous action to demolish it, and you still get it. So,
cool.
Yeah, like that's the one I think you end up taking. Like that's the easy one. The downside is if you take the Gloaming Gloomtide or whatever it's called, the artifact that allows you to drop into the boat. That makes this Grand Strat harder, but I think that in the cases that you bring that, you just go with something different. What do you think? Anything that I might have missed here?
I mean, the only thing would be whether or not you're tossing a star next to that Creeping Gloomtide, quite frankly. But I think the other ones are set. I think Dominion is a cool yellow one that's an option for if you don't want to just take the easy thing. But no, the rest of these look good.
Yeah, the reason I didn't put star next to Creeping Gloomtide is because if you get tabled, they just stand somebody next to it and you lose it. The star, in my opinion, is like there is very little ability to stop you from getting it, even if all your models are killed. It's like free 3 points, the best.
Right.
All right, so Idoneth doing better than I expected, despite their low performance. I bet it's their spoiler alert allegiance abilities and war scrolls. Kharadron Overlords. While they had, I got this wrong. We'll see what you think here. I had originally put one of these as a star and then thought better of it. Overshadow, because they're going to make their Thunderers battle line, and they're just going to teleport those Thunderers around and try and shoot you to death or die trying. And then Prospector Fleet is the one that I really liked, and I was back and forth on making it a star. I ultimately fell on no star just because of what I said about the Gloomtide, where if they get essentially rocked, which seems to happen if they don't win, they're going to have a hard time controlling a terrain piece when the opponent was the one that got to pick it. If they were the ones choosing, I might make that a star just because they could put it in a spot where the opponent never wants to be. But aside from that, I just left it as a green because I think it's still a really great tactic for them as a win more.
Sure.
All right, thoughts?
Sure. I mean, I think it looks solid. I think, Rule the Skies. I never see anyone take that.
It's because their sky vessels get blown out of the sky a lot. And
I suppose.
I think, in my opinion, it's a harder thing to get when you're getting wrecked than even Prospector Fleet, where if the opponent chooses badly, you can drop a unit over there of Arcanaut that somehow survived to the end of the game, if it's really close. But Rule of Skies, by the time that Arcanaut's the only one left, you've already lost it, and so there's like no play there. That's my hot take.
Sure.
But maybe because you're like a big, shooty, low armor save army, you're skewed to like fear the boats. But maybe that's just me. Yeah, KO got hit hard. KO was doing real good, and then their points got fixed, and now they're living in that weird liminal space where GW can't make them good enough, and they can't make them bad enough, or not bad. I don't know. They just can't. They can't like fit that perfect thing of shooting, where shooting is either isn't too oppressive, but they don't just get tabled if they don't like wipe you off the board. I really, maybe for the next battle tome.
All right. I honestly think that it's more of a core rules thing than a battle tome thing.
You think so?
Yeah, I think you have to figure out, are we playing 40k or not? Like, is shooting supposed to be really good, or is shooting something that you do just to soften armies? And your core rules have to reflect that, because just like in real war, if you can kill your opponent without their ability to hit you back, take that option.
It's real good.
At all times.
It's real good.
Yeah.
All right, Lumineth. They used to have a really good grand strat, I think. No, I think they were always doing one of the easy ones. Because now they've got Overshadow and Spellcasting Savant. I think you're going to see Spellcasting Savant because they're going to put their little general and their floaty waterfall tower, and if they die, then they were already going to lose. Spoiler alert, they're already going to lose anyway because they're in a really bad spot, in my opinion. Because they are also suffering from a lack of easy battle tactics. And then Overshadow, I don't think you'll see that as much because of the weird way that they turn things into battle line, and some things will be battle line sometimes, other times not, and then every time they want to make something a battle line, they have to take another 130 or whatever 140 point unit in the spear guys. It's just tough to be Lumineth right now, which on one side I want to say, aha, got him. I never liked playing that army, but on the other side, like the people that have that army should be allowed to have fun too. So I think it's ultimately a shame that they're kind of where they're at, except for Derek. Derek shouldn't have fun.
Except for Derek. The only thing I disagree with this one, I actually think Slaughter of Sorceries are red.
Oh, you think so? Oh, yeah.
Their battle line being wizards?
Yeah, I don't know. I think I might have got to fix that when I copied it over from KO. That's my bad. Yeah, you are exactly correct. I forgot that all of their units are wizards. So I broke Seraphon into Starborn and coalesced again. Starborn, I think you just take Spellcasting Savant. Having tested a lot of Seraphon recently, like if you win, your Slan is alive, and if you lose, your Slan is almost always dead. And he's like an 8 wound, I think, 7 or 8 wounds, and then he's got a 3-up bodyguard that's always next to him in Croak.
Yeah,
it's yeah. Oh man, here we go. Let me see if I can pronounce this. Guitar Mogioff. Take a shot on pronouncing that name if you want to, Shannon. I thought LOR had decent PTs. I think they did in the previous edition. Not edition. Battletome, Grand Strat. What's the word I'm looking for? GHB. Yeah, I'm pro at this game. They had some good ones where they would be like, it's all about spell casting and getting endless spells on the board. And in the world where somebody can just primal unbind one of their critical battle tactic spells, or primal dispel an endless spell that's on the board, it's way harder than it used to be. Because it used to be like they'd put like an 8 casting endless spell on the board and then use that as a battle tactic later, because it's hard to remove. Now 8 is the new 5 or something like that. It's not reliable. But I also thought Realm Shaper Guardians would be a reasonable thing to do. I think I picked Slaughter of Sorcery to be a dash, because if you are getting riggedy wrecked, like by Khorne, and you get tabled, you get 3 points.
Yeah, but I feel like you could make that argument for anyone with a wizard fighting Khorne.
That's true. That should probably be a red.
I would think that's a red.
I'm probably like 10,000 levels too deep in my own head.
Right. That's like sitting there and being like, well, if I just pick the one that says no battle line units and he kills all my stuff, then I got it. I think that how this list is right now, and I think you're totally correct. I think spellcasting savant, you're just going to go for win more, right?
Yeah.
You want your toad to be alive and your toad to be doing toad stuff.
All right, we're going to take a quick break from Seraphon Starborn to take a look at the battle tactics from the Lumineth, because I put this all Halo style in one deal. So here's what I put for the battle tactics, my friend. Magical Mayhem, Conservative Liquorts, blind the enemy, and ignore the odds. Hishmade Manifest, perfectly doable, but maybe not as reliable. So when I say like free battle tactics, I mean like you're just going to get it when you pick it. You could totally get 5 battle tactics with Lumineth most of your games, but not all of them are as like free money style, which is what the green was on the battle tactics.
You got 4 good ones and then 4 possibles to pick from. You should still probably be able to get your 5.
Yeah, I was thinking they were 3, but maybe I went back and updated stuff, because I did go back based on feedback from you and other people and watching games, and change some battle tactic stuff to reflect that. And then I did update the final rankings. And by the time we get to the end of this series, I'm sure there will be some more edits. I was a little bit more down on a lot of stuff than some people. So speaking of down on stuff, Seraphon coalesced. I know that a coalesced list did really well just recently. I think this weekend, and I don't know what their their tactic was. It might have been spellcasting savant, and I put that as a dash because I wasn't sure if people are like always running a slan every time, and if that slan is as protected and protectable as it is in Starborn, where you can summon screens. And the coalesced, I guess, if you can just pin them in, that's a different kind of safety for the slan, especially since you can't shoot him when you're more than 12 inches away. So maybe that should be a green. I'm open to thoughts from you. Do you think any of these should be different?
I mean, I see where you're coming from on making it a yellow instead of a green, but I think it's still
just what you do.
Very, very doable. Yeah. I mean, if you're taking a slan, then go for it. And if your difference between playing coalesced versus playing Starborn is, am I castling versus I've got a kind of an alpha front line with my caster in the back, it's kind of a net difference for is the toad alive at the end of the game.
Right. All right, so we'll do the good strats up to 2, and I'll update that later on the final tier ranking. Stormcast Eternals, Overshadow, just because I think that your battle line is going to match up with what your game plan is. Mm-hmm. So if you're spamming like Fulminators or whatever the Temptesters, you're going to be in a good spot. And if you win, you win. But then Pillars of Victory was the other one I thought was really good. If the battle ends, I think this is just a worse version of Overshadow. Correct me if I'm wrong. But, the point here is that I look at the one on the right side and say, in a vacuum, could I usually get this? And with your ability to return a unit via the Holy Command, I see a lot of people being able to do that if you're running Redeemers. So, Dragoneth Defiance, if you're spamming those units, that should be another one you could probably do. I don't think there's a lot of Draconeth heroes, or no, Dracoth heroes. The Draconeth hero is the new one on the Flappy Dragon with the flaming sword. So if you're spamming dragons, you take him, I guess. I think he might be a little bit overcosted, but if you choose to play Oops All Dragons, that's not necessarily a bad pick, even though I think it's easy to pick that guy off if you want to, and he's only got like 12 wounds.
Sure.
Any thoughts here? You feeling it?
I think the only one would be whether or not Sacred Charge turns into something yellow if we start seeing just a ton of allies from Cities of Sigmar, where people are bringing in cannons or Pontifex or whatever it is. Who knows?
Reminding me Yeah, I think I put this in. I built this list before I read through the city stuff, and now that you point that out, I think that should be a yellow. You could even make it a green based on how outrageous that allying ends up being. But
For
we'll
sure.
we'll play it easy this time for now, and then eat our words. At least I'll eat my words if things change.
Sure.
Sylvaneth, this is one of the boring factions where you're either spellcasting Savant or Overshadow. I think you're spellcasting Savant because your general tends to be a tree guy casting stuff through trees at the corner of the board, and then you can just teleport them all over the place. I considered making spellcasting Savant a star because you can be so cagey with them, but I wasn't sure. So, what do you think?
Yeah, I still don't think it's an auto because you guys still got to go through the entire game without him getting killed, without him miscasting. Like there's stuff that can happen. It's not the same as having, here's my incantate or my priest, whatever evocation, just sitting on the board, kind of a deal. Darktron thinks it's a star. He thinks that Sylvaneth is just a whatever.
Make your case, Darktron. We'll go on to the next faction, but we'll come back if you want to try and defend making spellcasting Savant free money for Sylvaneth. Yeah, we're talking like Tzeentch or Fire Slayer or Daughters of Khaine level autocomplete.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Beasts of Chaos. We're on to the Chaos factions. Overshadow. I picked them not because you're your battle line or even like the backbone of your army, but I see everyone run Nightwalkers, and that's what I would run. And you can teleport a gore unit to any board edge, wholly within 6 inches of a board edge every turn, and you're at the end of your movement phase. And I think you can do that pull them out of combat. And so I felt like you could keep your battle line, your flimsy battle line that does nothing, and you take bare minimum of. You can still keep it alive, and then pick off their important units with your Bulgor, and there might just be one unit of Bulgor, like 9 of them. But
sure.
Ultimately, everyone's going to protect the Hearthstone, though. You just stick that thing in the corner. It's not free money because I have in multiple games flapped something big over to that Hearthstone and stomped on it. But if you get matched into something that has no monsters, that is free money.
Indeed. So. Yeah, no, I agree with you. It's all about protect the Hearthstone for sure.
Gotcha.
Well, okay. Flanking Warherd.
All right. When the battle ends, you complete this grand strat if there are 2 or more friendly Warherd units on the battlefield, wholly within 9 of the battlefield edge. Do you want your mega expensive Bulgor hammer and that, or your 2, and or the Bulgor hero wholly within 9 of the battlefield edge at the end of the game? Or if I'm playing against them, we're usually fighting somewhere towards the middle of the board, and those units are necessary. They are your backbone for killing stuff. Think about the game that you played with Justin, and I know we were, just having a good time, haha Nagash, and then you ran him up the side of the board. But if you knew that staying towards the middle was going to deny him 3 points, would you have done
it? Man, I don't think so, but I think that was because of the scenario. Yeah. The scenario punishes you for sitting in the middle on a bunch of objectives.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I forgot about that one.
Yeah. My only question with it is, how many castle armies are we going to start seeing with this sort of a thing? If it's all about magic and such, because a castle is usually going to want to deny a flank using the battlefield, whether that is the back edge or a side edge, or you Derek Teclis in the corner as far back as his base allows. But I see what you're saying, and ultimately it's an argument of semantics because you're taking protect the Hearthstone anyway.
Well, let's make it yellow. If it's just it's not going to matter anyway, right?
Sure,
it's an option. Cool. Corn. So Corn buffs in the in the chat or in the comments, rail against me here. I struggle with both battle tactics and Grand Strats playing Khorne. Slaughter of Sorcery, just because there's a lot of Seraphon and there's a lot of Tzeentch. And my person, this is just colored by me, in the game right now, and so it's not just it's not easy. And some of those armies can teleport those guys around the board. I find that by the end, I've only got one, maybe two hammers in a really good game, and they've got work to do even by the end.
Right.
So I picked Overshadow, even though I don't like it, because I like to try and use all my battle line as just garbage chaff to slow you down while I run in with something big. But I don't know. I could be talked into literally anything here. I'm just not feeling it. I don't like any of their book tactics, the book grand strats, excuse me. Like Blood Legion's March. You have to summon a demon after the first round for rounds 2 through 5. And that is the last thing in my opinion, you're doing with Blood Tithe. Bring me a Worthy Skull, that gives your opponent control of...
Yeah, that's a bad one.
That's a bad one. Reap the Blood Tithe. You have to spend Blood Tithe on unique things, so you can't murder less more than once per game. Why would you ever want to do that? And Disciples of Carnage, you have to do 4 of the book tactics, and their book tactics are not Cities of Sigmar, guys.
Yeah.
So,
I think the only thing worth debating on this, because I think you're right on all of their personal book ones. All sound rough. Slaughter of Sorcery, yes, there's a lot of Seraphon out there and a lot of Tzeentch, but it's an auto win for you if you play a game against Fire Slayers. And it's an auto win if you're playing against KO, unless they brought something else in. So you've got just as likely, not based on what people are taking, but
okay, let's make it
raw arms.
Yeah, let's make it green, because that was entirely colored by my experiences, rather than being able to step back and be real. So I think we got a response from Darktron on the Sylvaneth.
Yeah.
They've got the crazy movement, and Warsong Rev has a 4-up ward. It's hard to kill if you can get to the model and move away in the on the board, and spellcasting savant. I don't know. What do you think? I just don't think it's free money. I think that it can get killed. I've killed so many Warsong Revenants. Once you get into them, particularly with all the new ways to get rid of wards, I take Khorne, and I always take the axe, and I always just eat that thing straight into their backfield, and then try and kill the general as quickly as possible, because they want those command points for rerolling their charges.
I think it is very doable.
It's very good.
I agree with you that it's not free money, because you have to play the whole game to get it done. So it's definitely not a star.
Yeah, but I agree that it's one of the better targets of spellcasting savant, maybe right up there with Seraphon. Disciples of Tzeentch. Spellcasting savant would be great for this army if Masters of Destiny wasn't in their book.
Yeah,
but Masters of Destiny is so free. There's plenty of cases where I've opted to drop my ability to get Master of Destiny to risk winning a game. But if I chose to just get the 3 points, I could. I could have just sat on those points. I'm I need this dice to auto make a charge to have a chance at winning, and if I don't do it, I just lose, but I get 3 more points. So I just kind of have to do the math of how early in the game am I. Am I at the bottom of 5? Maybe I just take the 3 points. But anyway,
but it is the ultimate non-player interaction.
Yeah,
grand strategy, because you roll 9 dice, right?
Yeah, you roll 9 dice to start with, and there's 100 different ways to get more of them. We'll just put all the stars I've got right next to this guy.
Right. But what I'm saying with it is that, with the Fire Slayer one, sure, you could, I guess, technically roll a 1 every time you try that prayer. But even if you roll 9 ones, you still got this. There's no way to fail it unless you choose to.
Unless you choose to. Yep. So it's Pinnacle bad design. Please change.
Yep.
Hedonites of Slaanesh. Another, overshadow because you're going to be spamming list barbs in your most popular and successful lists. Maybe not in every successful list, but you're going to have a lot because they're so good. And then Spellcasting Savant because you're going to have that 4-up ward epitome of whatever.
Epitome.
Yeah,
Epitome,
the big mirror guy. It's super fast, it's durable, and has a 2-up save against mortals. It's really survivable. And then the other one I picked as a possible in a universe where they didn't have 2 free ones from the GHB, Glutton of Depravity, where all you have to have is 36 at the end, unspent. I think that it's very possible to crush your opponent and not ever have gotten to 36, but at least it's not like forcing you to summon. At least it's not saying that you have to, I don't know, what is it? The not use your summoning points ever. At least this one you have the option.
Yep.
Selfish Desire is okay, but I don't like things that like lock me into having to not use my faction ability in some way.
Yeah, but like even that being said, and I agree with you, I think that it's a bad game mechanic sort of thing. It is incredibly doable. Like if all you're doing is going for the buffs from stacking your depravity,
it's true.
You could easily do that. Just say, hey, I don't own any more Slaanesh models. Here's Selfish Desire. That's what I got.
I think when I was in my 10,000 levels deep in my own head, I heard Jeremy Lefebvre talking like I always summon a Keeper of Secrets every game. And so I thought, well, you don't want to deny the ability to do that because I'm sure that was winning him games. Right. Okay, so we'll change that to a yellow because you're right. It's perfectly doable, even if it's
doable. And given Hedonites being what they are, they might be one of the ones that you could knock a yellow on Control the Nexus. Especially if you're taking the old speed demons moving at the start of battle rounds sort of thing.
You're not wrong.
They have so much board movement, and you want usually at least 2 wizards in there. You may even have more. But I think Control the Nexus, this is an army that could actually do that without it being a weird thing that you're trying to do.
Right. You just end up in the middle blasting from your 60 plus barbs.
Yep, or on turn 5, you do that movement 1 in that subfaction, run them towards the middle, and then also have your turn to go towards the middle. So you didn't even have to think about it during the game. You just...
Oh, but it's got to be 2 wizard units.
Right.
Who are the 2? Who's the other one? You've got the general, right?
A keeper and an epitome.
Oh yeah, the keeper. All right, yeah. We'll do it. We'll do it. My keepers usually die, but I'm also not the best Slaanesh player.
And you can summon more on, right?
Yes, you can. They're 36 depravity. It's true. I mean, if you got 36 depravity at the end of the game, you just drop a seeker, get your grand strat if you wanted to do that.
Sure.
Cool.
Sure.
Maggotkin and Nurgle, Overshadow. Maybe somebody needs to check my math on all this spread. But Overshadow, most of your stuff is going to be battle line in some form, in my opinion, and it's all very durable. Slaughter of Sorcery, I think that you've got too many good units that are wizards. It's just going to be too difficult. Spellcasting Savant. Maybe if Guos were better, you'd make your Guo a Spellcasting Savant and it'd be really survivable, but as it stands, I put
he's too many wounds.
Oh yeah, it has to be an Andorian Locus.
Correct.
Yeah, yep. Then the big problem there is all you've got is those little Rotbringer sorcerers, and those guys are Garbo.
They're very squishy.
Even in the subfaction that lets you take 3, they're still overpriced, and only one of them gets that bonus, and on only one cast, and not under spell. It's like poorly designed. The one I think you're going to see the most is Blessed Desecration, because your general is almost always immortal on the fly, and You just pick a terrain feature back where they live, and then you win more, and you get it.
I think Corrupt Arcane Nexus, I think, is doable if you run flies where you're pinning them in the backfield.
Let's see. You
It's
complete
not.
this.
It's not as good as Overshadow or Blessed Disintegration, but I think you could do it.
Do
I
a yellow.
don't think that's impossible at all.
That's fair.
Especially if you sit the Great Unclean One on there, you're essentially using that 6 inches of the center of the battlefield.
If only he had survivability. I don't know. Mine always die. Maybe I just need to get good. Skaven. I don't think Overshadow's awful for Skaven because they take so many things, like so many wounds that are battle line. It's definitely a big win more for them. I opted for yellow on Spellcasting Savant because they have so many ways to detonate their wizards. And you're encouraged to do those things to maximize your wins. Mm-hmm. I couldn't bring myself to make it a green because I can think of many occasions before this GHB that I made casting choices that killed my wizards, and I still won the game. So I don't think it's a good choice for them. And then their book tactics or book grand strats are, I think, the worst in the game.
Yeah, they only have one, and you just change the words a little bit every time.
It's so bad.
That is bad. That's awful.
It feels so bad. It's like I gotta have 3 of these like crap heroes alive. Like nothing has a higher than a 4-up save, and maybe that one the one Scryer hero's got a 3-up. But aside from that, they just die. They're supposed to die. So
yeah, it's not even that it's necessarily the worst thing. It's just boring and uncreative. It gives you nothing. You could have written one that said have 3 or more of your heroes alive, because who's taken one of each to not get the bonuses?
It's true. It's true.
And then giving you some actual things to play for.
Yeah. All right.
Yep.
New grand strategy for the new Skaven book. Right, good rules.
Very good.
We'll see if GW gets 3 points or not. Slaves of Darkness. I think you're going to see Follow the Path to Glory a lot. Overshadow's another good one because they've got so many amazing battle line units. Hey, Charlie. Charlie's the guy that runs Fly Monkey. So,
awesome.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Charlie, we want to see that battle pack. Come on, buddy. I love you. I was talking to him in the Great Plains chat, and hopefully maybe sometime this week, early next week. But yeah, follow the path. Yeah, follow the path to glory.
Before we're off Flying Monkey,
okay,
we need to make sure there's enough Warbeard at the hotel for those free beers. Yeah, we killed a couple kegs last year.
I think that Gene would give you a kiss if there was an endless supply of Warbeard. I don't know if Charlie's the one that's like dealing with the hotel or not, or if it's the 40k guys, but whisper a sweet nothing into their ear, Charlie. It's been submitted. Just waiting. Doing the Q and like the what am I looking for? Editing, making sure that it's all looking good.
Quality control, QC.
Quality, yeah, that's what it is. QCing it, which is probably good because I've seen too many battle packs that come out and it's like, no, this is from the old GHB. Did you copy and paste? All right, so follow the path to glory. It's basically you take one guy that's not ununited. What's the generic chaos mark?
Undivided.
Undivided.
Not ununited.
Ununited. Oh man! But I did get the bar moved much closer to us this year. Not in the 40k room. Very nice. You're the man, Charlie.
Good stuff.
Thank you.
Good stuff.
You basically just take your undivided hero and you cast that spell using draw on power, so 3d6 cast until you get that battle tactic. There's lots of ways to roll on that table, and so you just keep doing safe ways to roll on the table, and then I don't even think you have to turn them into the bad demon prince. You just have to get that result, and then win. And then you get your grand strat 3 points. I watched somebody do that and get like 3rd or 4th place at one of the tournaments we went to. And they're just like, yeah, I just cast it, and by turn 3, I've always got my grand strat, which was more reliable than I was expecting.
Can I suggest a new tier
Okay, what's the
of
tier?
Grand Strat. Either double red X or super red X.
All right, let's make it super red.
Okay, sounds great. Magic Made Manifest. They have a different one that only requires 1 instead of 2. So it is, if you take Magic Made Manifest, you are an idiot.
Oh, all right, I'm down.
I mean, I guess it has to be a Slaves to Darkness endless spell, but like, if what you're banking on is them not getting rid of your endless spell, then do 1, not 2.
There we go. Mega red.
Perfect. Mega red. Wonderful.
All right, so Magic Made Manifest, extra bad. Extra bad. Okay, Flesh Eater Courts.
Wow, what a great army.
I know. I heard that
Wow, not a yellow one on there.
it definitely feels like an army that wins hard or loses hard, but I say that, but I've watched you make it very close every time. But when I read these grand strats for them, I guess it sounded like you were down on spellcasting Savant.
It's not impossible, and it is one of their better options. It's just a dangerous thing in a death army. Like it's not that I'm down on it. It's that you are gonna like win or lose on your magic, and you are putting a big target on what you need to be alive. You are a command point heavy army, and you're saying kill my general.
Right.
You are a magic dependent army, and you're saying kill my wizard. And you are wanting to push that, hey, I want D3 attacks. I need this. And that might result in a miscast. So I think it is still green. It's still good. It just comes with a little warning label on the bottom.
Right. And then Growing Kingdom, I hope that name is indicative of a good rule in the new book, because I want there to be a rule where you're making terrain features desecrated, just like your chair. Like, that's what I want. I want the army to do that. I know that it's too late to ask for it, but I want it so bad. Speaking of Flesh Eater Courts, what do you think about those sprues that somebody found in the garbage?
Oh, so good. They look great. I'm not convinced that we're replacing the old ghoul models.
I don't think we are at all.
Well, they're old, but they're still very functional, and you would be swapping into having everything armed, because everything on that sprue has either a sword, a command item, or a halberd.
Right.
So I think we're looking more at foot squires, if you used to play Bretonia, than peasant mobs or men at arms, which are your ghouls.
I think I was hearing somebody in one of the Discords say that there's like 10 of each or 5 of each. So there might be a dual option where you build it either with halberds or with swords, and then have some interesting options there, which would be nice.
That could be cool. And the new rumor engine today looked fecky also.
It feels like we've been getting hammered with feck hints, because there's supposed to be a big release. I think that this really tips the hat that there are new units coming, and an army that really needs it. I really hope they don't replace anything, because like every unit they replace is another unit they could have made the range more interesting with, right? You're just cutting down.
They can replace the Vargolf. It's resin. It's not a great model.
That's true.
The pose isn't. You can't do anything with the model, so they can replace the Vargolf.
All right, that makes you're right. That makes sense.
Yeah. But yeah, sorry. Getting back to this, Growing Kingdom is absolutely awful, because it requires you to take at least 3 things that summon, and then keep them out of combat. And if you're looking at like that little 10-man unit of ghouls, which are great for holding objectives or being annoying on the other side of the board, but that's only 10 wounds on a 6-up, 6-up. So if you need to keep that alive, as this is what I'm gambling 3 points on, it's awful. And if you're not taking the little 10-point ghoul unit, you're putting more points into those heroes doing the summons. So I've never seen anyone take Growing Kingdom. Well, actually, I take that back. I think I've seen a few people doing House Morgaunt, where they're just all about ghouls coming back forever.
It's true. And that one Nagash list that's been doing well in England, for people who can actually roll that 4-up, Shannon. How many times have you rolled that 4-up, and all the times you've rolled it? Like
15 times now.
You've rolled 15 and you've gotten it like how many?
Once.
Yeah, like
maybe twice.
You're cursed. You're cursed.
I'm absolutely cursed. Yeah, so if you're playing Morgaunt because of the weird wording of this, sure, okay, Growing Kingdom might be your thing.
But it's not going to be around for much longer. By the end of the year, your new book will be out, new models, new everything. Just take Overshadow. Overshadow or Spellcasting Savant.
Right. Yep, I agree.
All right, Nighthaunt. They had two that I thought were good. Overshadow, because so much of what you just pick, like, what's my sub-faction, what's the battle line unit that it wants me to buy a bunch of, and then you do that. Spellcasting Savant, I made yellow because their heroes are big targets, and they're not impossible. They're not super easy to kill. Excuse me, because they have the bodyguards floating around them, and you can return models to that unit. I still have not had a lot of trouble killing Nighthaunt heroes incidentally with a lot of armies, so I decided to make that a yellow. And then Dismantle the Brave. I see people take this all the time. It's not my style, but you find out who's the bravest, and then you kill them, and your general has to still be alive.
Fair enough.
I mean, I pick it because I see people picking it, and I can't deny that people are winning games using it, but like, I don't understand why you wouldn't just take Spellcasting Savant. Maybe because they're making their general a non-wizard? But
sure. But I mean, you put it as green, and Spellcasting Savant is yellow.
I know. It's only because I couldn't figure out why I can't justify Spellcasting Savant just because I know that I kill those heroes. Maybe they're making it a hero that's not a caster. I can't really say.
Maybe
I make Spellcasting Savant green then, because like, people are winning games with Dismantle the Brave, and I don't want to lower that one just because I'm bad at Nighthaunt. You know what I mean? Like, all I did was play like 100 horses, so.
I'd also make an argument for yellow on Control the Nexus. With the amount of teleporting and like end of the game jump in, I don't know how many wizards you run in their average list.
It's usually just like one or two.
Okay, so then maybe not. But if you have them alive, you can put them where you want with a lot of Nighthaunt armies.
All right. Well, we'll give it a yellow because I'm not here to make Nighthaunt have more red.
Sure.
They had a bad enough time in their old book.
Fair.
I think they're doing better than everyone thought they would do in this new GHB.
Sure.
I've certainly seen more wins than I was expecting, so I'm excited to see more Nighthaunt because it's a cool looking army.
That it is.
That gives them 3 green though.
Heck yeah, good for them.
Yeah. Ossiarch Bone Reapers, that's another 3 green. This is another case where maybe I was just getting so deep into it, I stopped being able to see the middle ground. Because there's no yellow here.
Right.
The Overshadow, you just take those unkillable Immortus Guard, and then you kill everything with it, and then you win. Spellcasting Savant, you take the little hero that the invincible unit bodyguards, and that you use for your nearly free turn 1 battle tactic. Like, I don't know, I think it's Spellcasting Savant, but the scales balanced was one that surprised me when I was reading it. I don't think it's as easy as the other ones, but I think it's also doable. When the battle ends, you complete it if any Mortec or Cavalist Death Riders from your starting army have the same number of models. And when you're when you're spamming Catagros and Arcan, like, that's child's play. So,
sure. Talk to me about creation and termination and why that's not yellow.
All right. When the battle ends, you complete this grand strat when there are more friendly Mortisans than enemy heroes on the battlefield. Because in this list that everyone's running, it's only got 1 Mortisan, which means you have to kill all other heroes. So if they're losing, and you're not fast, like, there's the only thing that's fast in that army is Arcan. If they have a hero that they can just move around, teleport, just move fast at all, and just run away from you the whole time, I think that it can be denied pretty. So it should be yellow. As I talk about it, I'm like, that sounds like a yellow, because the only thing that's stopping you is them just running away from you because you've already won, right?
And the only thing that people are taking in wing lists is just Arcan?
Well, Arcan, and because he's not a Mortison.
Oh, he's not.
Mortison's the little foot
Huh.
heroes, little foot
Gotcha.
hero casters. So they're taking Arcan, Catacross, and the little foot guy. Maybe sometimes you'll
Mhm.
see somebody take a second one, but mostly it's just those 3 heroes in a 2-drop and like 6 Mortis Guard and whatever else they felt like spicing the list up with. Uh,
Sure.
so yeah, I think that's a fair yellow. Um, let's see, Bone Stonks, baby, yeah, Bone Stonks, real big. I think we're coming up due for a battle scroll, right? Here in not too long. I'm curious how badly it goes for us for the Bone Boys and Dinosaurs. I feel like they're going to get hit, but we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
They
Soulblight
might.
Grave Lords. Oh, go ahead.
They'll probably wait till cities shakes out a little bit first, so that they can get that dealt with. Because I mean, the next thing allegedly is Feck, so they've got a good window to
Supposedly before
wait.
Feck is going to be the Orc release.
The new Iron Jaws,
Yeah,
right?
the new
And
Iron
then probably
Jaws.
a Stormcast, because we can't have Feck without doing at least one more Stormcast book.
Um, so I thought there were 4 good ones and a free money one. So, and I think it kind of plays out with how you see Soulblight Gravelords win rates right now, where they're just dominating. They've got a lot of easy battle tactics. They've got like a plethora of completable grand strats, including one that's just free money. So Empire of Corpses, you just have to replace 3 summonable units.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a 4-up and a 3-up. You gotta roll it 10 times if you lose something on the top of one. I don't think that's realistic. So more like 8 times.
What if your opponent gets real clever and chooses to retreat and not kill that guy on the final turn?
I mean, well, by the final turn, you're kind of out of luck because you have to return a model. You have to successfully return.
Right.
It's supposed to die in the previous turn and then return. But if they're getting cagey with it, then that just opens you up for Uncaring Masters or whatever it is, which is a battle tactic to run that guy into and get killed. So Empire of Corpses feels like free money to me because you're just gonna roll it. If you aren't playing a list that has enough reliable summonable units, like if you only have like 3 summonable units in your army, then maybe you do something else like Overshadow or Spellcasting Savant. Not free money, but still completely doable. And then the Dance Macabre. When the battle ends, you complete this grand strat if there are more friendly summonable units than enemy units wholly within their territory, which is just last season's Take What's Theirs, right? But it just has to be summonable. But your ability,
totally doable.
Yeah, your ability to just pop them up in their backfield with grave sites, very very easy. Yep. So I think that Soulblight Gravelords might have been the big winner. Gloomspite gets Overshadow because so much of your stuff is battle line. The only downside there is you're returning a lot of that stuff, and the return stuff doesn't count. So something has to survive, and it has to be battle line.
True.
So I don't know. We'll see. Chasing the Moon, though, like in the world of Chasing the Moon, easy. When the battle ends, you complete it if the model picked to be your general has been not been slain, and they've been affected by the light of the bad moon in at least 3 battle rounds. And it is very easy to be affected by the light of the bad moon now. You stand next to the shrine, or you stand next to Skagrot, or you just stand in the actual place where the moon is. So I think that's what you see people take. It's a big win more. Man, Charlie, I miss Charlie. He can't wait for the Iron Jaws release. I think that you gotta be on top of buying those big pigs because people are going to go way overboard.
They're gonna be gone.
Yeah, the hype is at a wah crescendo. Like people are crazy for it.
I'm waiting for someone to do their conversion where it's one of those big pigs riding on 2 pigs. Just why not? Just stack pigs.
Pigs on top of a maw crusher.
I know this is super untimely, but I've been looking at Magic Made Manifest this entire time. Does Tzeentch have it as yellow or red?
I think they've got it as red because it's so easy to get rid of those spells. Yeah.
But
Having,
with
go ahead.
Tzeentch having, if you take the Incarnate just to get a little more magic nonsense, you put out one endless spell for free, and is it Kairos that lets you just yoink one from the enemy?
Yes, yeah. Any of the birds can choose to
Any of the
control
birds
instead.
can. Again, I'm not saying there's a reason to take anything except Master of Destiny. But I do think Magic Made Manifest is doable in a Tzeentch army.
I
Just
get
a little
little
bigger star right
It's
there.
it's not. I'll concede. My concern is that all they got to do is, if you're relying on the Incarnate, they can just rupture it, and that's very popular right now. If we play next week,
Right.
you will get to sup from the saucer of ruptured incarnates.
Really?
Oh yeah, it's outrageous. What? It's so stupid.
Interesting. Okay.
Because you like, you know how it was before, it was like Tzeentch could kill a wizard and cities could kill the sorceress to make it wild, and then it would consume spells. Well, spoiler alert, everybody can do that now, and it's really, I'm tired of it already. Reformed Bugman wants to know where his orcs are, and I don't know, in some dumpster somewhere. Somebody just hasn't sold those screws yet. There's people, that guy's found those things at like some boot of a car where I'm sure they were dumpster diving out of the back of GW. Right. I don't know. They can't get here soon enough. Reform Bugman. Yeah.
How great will it be if there is a thing in that release that just automatically flips the switch on Bone Splitters, and it's like, actually, great army, take it, have fun.
That would be nice. I'd have to go through and add them to these slides because I have omitted them, because if GW doesn't think they're an army, then neither do I. All right, where are we at? Gloomspite gets over Ogre Maw tribes. Ready to plunder is just take what's theirs. It's just what you take. It's literally take what's theirs with different words, or maybe the same words. I don't know. And then they've got Overshadow, and other than that, like, I guess you could take something like Slaughter of Sorcery, but like, why?
You could.
You could. It's theoretically possible.
And I mean, spell casting Savant could be as well, because Tome lets him count, right?
You'd have to take a Butcher or something. Do you want to take Butchers?
If you took a Tome on a Tyrant, does he become an Antorian Locus?
He would. I don't know if you take Tyrants, though. Like, the truly successful lists, I don't think take Tyrants. But you're right. If you're playing no Beastclaw Raiders, and then you put that, at that point, maybe do something like that, where you're playing, maybe not Blood Gullet, but Meatfest, and you're just memeing your charges, or you just want to play Foot Ogres. You could do something like that. I don't think that's unfair.
For sure. Saga of the Monster Hunter might deserve the big red axe.
Ooh. Let's see it. When the battle ends, you complete this grand strat if the enemy monster was destroyed by wounds caused by an attack made by the model picked to be your general, and the model picked to be your general has not been slain.
You've got 3 hoops to jump through, and one of those is not your choice.
And that was
Did your opponent take a monster?
That was one sentence. That's just a one sentence battle grand strat.
So bad. So bad. Right. That is awful.
Where's my big X? Where did I put it? Copying it. I'm too lazy to make it a new time.
Yep. That's fair. There it is. Bam.
Skladoosh. So bad.
Skladoosh, indeed. It is. That is a rough one. Wow.
All right. Cruel Boys. Overshadow, because everybody's got it, I guess. And then Wah. Everyone just takes Wah. The model to pick to be your general or a friendly battle line unit is wholly within enemy territory. You don't have to like the most. Just get it. It's going to be a theme on this orc section of the book. Are any of these? I've seen people do in and out lads. I think that since the last time I saw this, somebody did really well with in and out lads, so I'm gonna have to give it a yellow because it's clearly doable.
Sure.
And then
Do you think? Yeah. Do you think Crump 'em all is a yellow?
not in this army because
No.
they don't get any bonuses from Kragnos. They don't.
Okay.
They, like Gobsprak. And there are fewer than 3 enemy units. I don't think that Crow Boys tables people. That's my opinion.
I mean, fair enough.
Maybe I should change that to yellow and Big Wall because Big Wall can table you.
Sure.
Iron Jaws, I did give it a yellow because I thought that was like something that could happen. Kragnos
100%.
goes really well with Iron Suns with their counter charge, and it makes their counter charge 3d6, and it's really spicy. Spellcasting Savant because maybe you want to take a weird knob shaman and make him your general and yada yada yada. I don't think it's perfect, but it's an option. Or you just do Wah because it's so outrageously good.
Yep. Wah.
And you've got a great big green hand of Gork in this army, so you just teleport him at the end. Like, you make that guy your general, you put him in the backfield after turn 1, and then into the game, you just teleport him in the corner if you can.
Yeah.
Big Wah, Big Shocker. They are spoiled for choice, just like in the battle tactics.
Heck yeah.
I made in and out lads yellow, just because I think that by the time I had come through and done Big Wah, I had seen those results from the Crew Boys. Then get them bones, I think, is an option. I don't think it's an option you pick, but after deployment, pick one terrain feature wholly within their territory, and then you control it. So that means that the only requirement is that your shaman, your mask guy, be your general, and then anybody can control it. So, and then overshadow and spellcasting. It's just easy. And then Crump 'em all, I forgot to mark it. I think that's totally doable.
Yep, I would agree.
Cool. All right, well, we're almost done here. I have Sons of Behemoth as just one line item rather than with the regiment because I don't think that the regiment affects their grand strats.
Sure.
Because all you do is you make the land tremble. Let's be real. You just need to run a charge every turn with somebody, and it's just not difficult. You just do it. You've always got one of them out and free to do a charge in your next turn.
Yeah. Man, I'm tempted to throw Slaughter of Sorcery as yellow.
Let's do it.
Like, doable. It's harder. You're right. Do make the land tremble. But it's doable. You're not trying to keep any wizards alive.
Oh, if we're doing bad, is this the one with a really awful tactic or grand strat? Show him his boss. No, it's the battle tactics that they have that have a big X. If we'd invented the big X in the previous stream, there would be a big X on the one where you have to like play baseball with somebody and successfully kill something and deal more with like so many hoops. I hate even reading it.
It's oof.
All right, so where do we end up? I think that the Fire Slayers need to come up here into the free money zone. And other than that, maybe some guys move around. I think somebody moves up into the 3 battle tactics, but this is kind of the way that it falls out. You've got the 3 losers, so to speak. Mm-hmm. What's nice here is that everybody's got an option. Even if everybody doesn't have the same best option, most people have 2 options. Then you've got the privileged few with between 3 and 4, and then you've got the people who start the game with 3 points, and you got to make it up.
But how much does this change if you take away Overshadow?
Everybody gets -1. Literally, everybody goes down 1. And then these 3 armies here, Skaven, and then Khorne and them, have 0 really easy ones, in my opinion.
Sure.
Unless we changed...
We did. We gave Coalesce to Savant.
Let's see here. So, yeah, Coalesce should get that one, and then did Blades of Khorne. Alright, they should be 2 also. So it's really just the lonely rats down at the bottom
Oh man,
I know. Poor rats. I know that you don't. You would love to see it.
I do. I mean, I kind of do.
So I think the rats are probably the worst off for Grand Strats right now. Perfectly doable. You can still get your Grand Strats with Skaven, but if Skaven pairs into these top three, there's a hill. There's a hill to climb.
I do think it's super cool to see Big Wa up there, though.
That's
awesome.
Yeah, they're the best orc faction I think right now because they have the smorgasbord options. Go ahead.
Where is Soulblight? Did you just put them above the top of the chart?
Oh, I think I just forgot to put them in.
Are they they're up there next to final ranking above the whole chart?
They should actually be up here in free money because they have a free money one. I'll clean that one up. And then, as promised, let's look at the city's battle tactics as kind of a follow-up to the end of the stream.
Sure.
Now that we have access to these. So, 7-2. It looks really good to be cities right now. Now, feel free to say no to any of these. But I thought Surround and Destroy was a free turn 1 battle tactic. I thought that Bait and Trap with the number of units that they've got is not going to be difficult. Go ahead.
Why is Surround and Destroy a free turn 1?
Because they've got access to like 80-point units with a 15-inch move or something like that, and the gyrocopters, or the run and charge horses that you're probably going to take a hero and 2 units for. In that list, I think that there's a lot of easy options, especially the 2 gyrocopters at 80 points each, where you just stick them on the side and then fly them up the board. Easy.
That's fair. That's fair.
Led in the Maelstrom, self-explanatory, Bait and Trap, they've got a lot of units. Bring full arms to bear, so we'll see if things change on the points or the rules for any of this stuff. We'll have to update this, but they need to first suppress a unit. Probably not too difficult. The key, I think, is to suppress it without killing it, because I don't think you get suppressed if you get wiped. But I think it's not difficult for them to pick something that they know they can suppress and then kill it with a unit on the second attack, right? Like shoot them once and then shoot them a second time with everything. Raise the banner. Pick one objective controlled by your opponent. Basically, this is the one where you walk your D&D party onto an objective, and as long as they've got the flag bearer with them, you get that battle tactic. Must be nice. Black Powder Bombardment. You have to kill 3 units in a single turn in your single shooting phase, which, if you've seen that War Scroll and all the buffs that you can stack on it, you're like, okay, maybe not every game, but spoiler, when you've got 7 good battle tactics, you don't you can't do them all. I guess that one's gonna have to be on the bench. Yeah, must be tough. Mount the charge. Go ahead.
Yeah. Sorry, no. You go ahead and finish through the good ones there. And I wanted to talk to you about a few other ones. And surprise, it's not me saying they should be ranked worse.
Mount the charge. Pick one objective controlled by your opponent. Complete the tactic if you control it, and it's controlled only by mounted units that charged. So you just charge your knights in. They do a bunch of damage. I don't know if you've looked at that War Scroll, but they do, I think, more damage on average than Chaos Knights, and then you got it. Serious. It's a fast unit. You can go pick off their objective holding battle line unit, and job's a good one.
You don't have to control it. You just have to contest it. So
is it contest?
You can play if you control it and they're contesting. No, you're right.
All right.
You do have to control it in the end. But can you do the command that makes them count as double on the knights, or is that infantry only?
I think you can make him count as double.
I think so too. So I mean, you can make that 5-pack of knights count as 10.
Got that? Oh, look! Here's the book that's surreptitiously open. What could I have been looking at?
Fancy.
Yeah.
What?
Let's see here. What is it? It's not countercharge. It's the human order. Gosh, what is it? Or no, is that that's the heroic action from the the hero.
Oh, you're right. It
All right.
totally is.
Pick 3 friendly Cities of Sigmar human units wholly within 18 and roll 2d6. If it's equal to that unit's bravery, less than or equal to, they count as 2 models, and then the bravery on the Nenes. Scroll, still scrolling. There's a D&D party. 7. So
Do they get a +1 for the banner?
yes, 8.
Okay. So on average, sure.
Yeah, not safe. I wouldn't bet it on that going off, but if you have multiple knights, you can do it twice.
Sure, for sure. And it's not, you gave it a green without even like bringing that up. This just makes that better. It's not
win harder.
Right. So Iron Might.
Right. Complete this tactic if at the end of the turn 3 or more Cities of Sigmar Dwarden units fought in the turn and no friendly Cities of Sigmar Dwarden units were destroyed this turn. I think that they're slow, and I don't think that you want 3 of them in your army. I think that you like one Hammer's unit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Hammer is looking sweet. We'll see that on Sunday. Since that's not one of the new human units, we've got it in our battle report.
What about Ironbreakers? If you just want a freaking wall,
I think that you're better off just having steel helms, because your steel helms are going to be, at worst, as far as wounds count, 10 wounds, 4 up save, unrendable, because Faw's protection, humans only, Faw's racist.
Sure.
And you're +3 to your save because you have 3 of those caster guys, and they all chose to do the thing. Maybe +2 because one of them's giving everybody mortal wounds on to hit with wholly within 12 inches. What the heck? And then +3 because then you also cast arcane mystic shield on them, and
Sure.
and then you all have to fence them, so +4 to their save. And that's just 100 points. I mean, it's more than 100 points of buffs, but it's just like if all you want is a tough unit, you have tough units that are cheap and don't require dwarf stuff, because your dwarf hero needs to be there to provide the order to give him the 4-up ward, right? I don't know. Okay, it's a yellow. You're not wrong.
I think it's yellow.
You're not wrong. It's doable, and I bet we'll see.
Totally do it.
I can't remember how many dwarves Colin brought, but if he brought 3 units, we'll see him attempt Iron Might 100%.
Probably. And it's not even like if you brought a couple gyros and you just drop them in.
Because they're 3-up saves too, by the way. Like the gyrocopters and the bombers are 3-up saves, so they're not completely flimsy. You just throw them into the. Okay, you throw a few gyrocopters or bombers into like some chaff. Nothing kills anything. Battle tactic complete.
Why is Intimidate Invaders not yellow?
Into the turn, because in my mind, the thought was that you're a slow castle army, but in reality, you're a fast castle army. So that should be
for sure. Easily a yellow, if not a green, and you're just looking at turn 4 or 5.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. Dang it.
Like, they're
8.
Freaking, they're doing so good.
They're by far the best.
Hands down. They are built for this season, which makes sense.
There's not even a tier for 8, so you're gonna have to imagine if Cities was on top. But there is a nice normal distribution here, so it doesn't feel completely crazy. I like to see a normal distribution because it tells me that our grading metrics are at least consistent, even if they're not, not right or whatever. There's a logic, and we apply that logic more or less consistently. So here we'll probably take these 2 separately. The top one is the number of greens, and the bottom one is the number of stars. I think that Cities was 2. There were 3 stars for a few of these guys. That doesn't sound right. Is that right?
Yeah. Get in the boat. Get out of the boat. I don't know. Push over your boat.
It's really Seraphon Starborn, 0 stars. What was I thinking? I don't know. Boo-booed it. They go down into the 0 star. Oh no, this is I'm sorry. This is battle tactics. I'm looking at battle tactics. There's absolutely three things that they could do, because the stars ignore the greens. So they're just 2 separate distributions.
Mhm.
All right. Anyway, you can see that some people have it good, and I bet that you look at this top, everything from 5 up, and this looks like strangely like what you would expect to see 3-0 at a GT. Like a lot of these armies are going to be your 3-0 GT armies. Now they're not always going to be the ones that are 5-0 because they start pairing into each other. But 3-0, like they could probably win most of their first 3 games on the first day. And then you look down here, Cruel Boys. Stormcast is an outlier because there's so much yellow on their battle tactics. But the rest of it, you know, and I feel like it's representative more than anything that I've seen so far of the distribution of how armies do, except for maybe Soulblight. They're way up here, but I think that's because zombies are tilted. Anyway, that's a grand strategy stream, followed by a little review of the battle tactic stuff. I think the next one we're going to do is going to be allegiance abilities. And so we're going to look at allegiance abilities in a nutshell. And I'm going to come up with a way, it might take me a little while, to summarize that in a way that doesn't take 10,000 years. But we'll see. It's going to be hard to look at allegiance abilities in a vacuum, but we're going to give it a shot. Same thing with War Scrolls. When we look at the stable of War Scrolls, how do you look at that in a vacuum? We'll do our best. I'm just going to look at it and say, how many other armies want this in their list? And if there's a bunch of units in there.
I'm excited to see what you think of Feck then with the allegiance abilities, because man, if you use Feck's allegiance abilities on most anything else, freaking Feeding Frenzy 6+ ward on all of your chaos models, sure, great, let's do it.
Yeah,
it'll be interesting.
They're gonna score really high on that metric, and then they've scored lower on other things, and so I think that'll be kind of how it kind of comes out. Like you can have really great allegiance abilities, and then have a super small or super bad roster of units, and that ends up being the balance, either on purpose. I don't think GW did it on purpose. Or just on accident because there's a normal distribution of how they do stuff, and some things are busted, but a lot of stuff fits in that middle zone. So sure. Anyway, anything else you'd like to talk about before we sign off for the night?
And not particularly. I'm looking forward to this GHB and more of this kind of stuff. Like I've had a blast with every game I've played so far, win or lose. And I think that the game's in a fun place. Like it's a fun spot.
100%. All right. Well, we'll see you guys. If anyone joins us on Sunday at I think 2 p.m. Mountain Time, 3 p.m. Central Time, and who knows what time in England, for some new cities in Sigmar. If nobody else beats us to it, we'll be the first ones to do a battle report. Even if it's not any of the spicy new humans. It'll be interesting to see how Colin does, and we're going to do our best to get all the rules right. So, anyway, thanks for joining, Shannon, and thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.